I think I'm going live. I believe I'm going live. I believe in my heart that I'm live. I haven't streamed on this channel in 1 million billion years, and I believe I'm live. So if you can see me and hear me, toss it in the chat. Let your boy know. We're gonna be back with another slammer of a live stream, folks. I say as if I've streamed on this channel in the last 6 million years. Oh man, all right, cool, we're good. Oh hey Carl, how's it going? Wow. Uh-oh, I can hear the computer in the other room because I forgot to turn the sound off. Folks, we are off to a strong start. Give me 30 seconds. Let me go turn off that other computer. 1 second. All right, we're back. We're so back. It's no longer over. All right, so today what we're doing is taking these cameras. It's not these specifically, but I wanted to talk a little bit about onboard cameras. I think about it a lot. I run a YouTube channel. I want my stuff to look good, and I have a bunch of thoughts about it. And I was gonna make a video showing the GoPro deconstruction process that I've come to figure out. And then I thought it would be more fun if we just did it live. So I might still make a video, but why don't we just get this show on the road? Thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out. And let me show you what we're working with. So if you're making a rocket, oh wait, let's go full face for this. Whoa. If you're making a rocket and you want onboard footage, you probably want it to look pretty good. And there are a couple of options. You have lots of options. Also, the rocket that I'm making these for is the meat rocket, which is, if you haven't seen the latest video on the main channel, big old tube, big tube energy with control tabs at the aft, all carbon fiber, and yeah, it's gonna be great. So that's the meat rocket. It's launching hopefully early December if everything goes well. I've got a video coming out about the nose cone pretty soon. We have a copper tip that will cook a piece of meat using aerothermal heating. And all of the sims that have been run so far indicate a thin piece of meat should get cooked. But anyway, because I run a YouTube channel, I want cameras to make this stuff look good. So if you've got a rocket and you want to put a camera on it, I would start here. I would start with the Runcam. These are classic, the Runcam 4K. This thing is great. It's got a bunch of dirt on it because the last time I flew it, it fell off the the thing that I mounted it on. These are great and they're easy and they've got a battery on the inside, so you can swap batteries out, do all that, little SD card. But then, especially if you're flying small rockets, this gets old fast. And then you have two options, in my eyes. This is a Runcam Hybrid, and this is a Runcam Split 4. Sometimes this is called the Hybrid 4K. The Hybrid 4K is good because it does 1080p at 120 frames per second. 120 is great. 120 makes all things look really, really good. And it sounds crazy until you see it, and then you're like, oh, you do kind of need the extra frames. So that's the split. That's the hybrid, but it only does that 120 at 1080p. So then you can do this, which is the Split 4. The Split 4 by default records at 2.7K at 60 frames per second. 60 is still pretty good, but rockets go really fast. It's nice to be able to slow it down. And even though this can do up to 4K, it only does that at 30 frames per second. And so you got to drop to 2.7 to get to 60. And at some point, neither of these options are great. When I'm thinking about how I want to do the space shot, this is footage that hopefully for the rest of my life I look at and it stands the test of time in terms of quality. Neither of these are going to cut it. So then you start thinking about this kind of thing. This is a GoPro Hero 10 Bones. GoPro released this a couple years ago, and the idea was it's for FPV enthusiasts. FPV people don't care about screens. They don't care about having a separate battery. What they care about is lightweight, good footage. So there's no battery for this. There's external leads. There's no screen. There are two buttons, just power and record, and then a really nice camera lens. The regular GoPro lens. GoPro color science is second to none. GoPro image quality has always been really, really good. And so they do sell these things for an FPV form factor, but anyone who works with rockets will pretty quickly come to the conclusion that this is not going to do super well sticking out of the side of the rocket. If this is your tube, this is aerodynamically a bad time. So what I have started doing is taking them apart. I Dremel the case open, I access the circuit board on the inside, and then we start to deal with a different problem. Because when I talk about these cameras, so this is 1080, 120 frames per second max. This is 1080, 120 frames per second max. This is 2.7K, 60 frames per second max. None of these work. This will do 4K, 120 frames per second max, and that starts to look really good. So that's why I'm using this, is the quality is unmatched. It's really, really good. And it's 120 frames per second. So any fast deconstruction of a rocket that might happen, you get twice the number of frames. So that's why these cameras are important to me. The problem is that they are very expensive. So it's a stressful process to deconstruct them. And so what I do is I take them apart, and what you end up with is the control board and, one second. Here it is. And the sensor. The sensor is a separate element inside the GoPro, and it comes on this ribbon cable, so you can actually like move it around. You can twist it, you can bop it, you can pull it, you can, what are the other bop it things? Toss it in the chat. Anyone know how to play bop it by memory? Anyway, so that's the reasoning for doing this, and we're gonna dive into some more stuff here. I found these extra extension ribbon cables from Red Kite Drones. I've had like 3 cups of coffee today, so my hands are shaking like crazy. Anyway, yeah, I think the best thing for us to do is just to start taking this stuff apart. This is an old camera. You'll notice there's a big chunk of epoxy. It's actually a big chunk of aluminum, much like this, 1/4 inch thick aluminum, about 6 millimeters. And that is for thermal reasons, which we will dive into soon. And if I don't get started, then nothing will happen. So raise your hand, toss a little hand emoji in the chat. Raise your hand if you're ready for class to begin. And then we're going to get this show on the road. I've got my Armadillo Aerospace mug. Class is in session. Oh, and I hope you're all having a happy No Effort November. I'm not putting, oh wow, we got a lot of hands in the chat. This is great. All right, class, we're all ready. Everyone's ready to go. Also, I'm sorry I'm missing some super chats. If I could figure out how to use a computer and read the English language, I would respond to them. Let me give that a little bit of effort. Austin B, thank you. $2 for the man. I hope makes music again. I would love to make more music. What I kind of need is 48 hours in the day for me and 24 for everyone else. Spencer says, I second a new song, Rocket Motor the Musical was magical. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a week of work and it was totally worth it. And Game Zone, thank you guys for the super chats. All right, it sounds like class is in session. Everyone's ready to go. Let's take apart a GoPro. So tragically, the first part of this requires that I put on a respirator, which means I'm not going to be able to talk that clearly. But we're going to use a Dremel. We're going to use this bad boy. This is the most important tool in rocketry. We're going to use a Dremel to tear open these GoPros. So the Meat Rocket has 3 cameras on it. So I've got 3 GoPro Hero 10 bones. And we're going to tear them all open. We're going to deconstruct them. And hopefully we're going to replace the ribbon cable on them too. But we'll get there when we get there. Oh, actually, no. Our first stop, uh-oh, something has happened. An event has occurred. There we go. So, you know what? Let me show you the other cool thing about GoPros. And I'm going to do a really dangerous move, which is I'm going to put my live phone screen on a stream. So that I do have to be really careful about how this works. All right. Let me make sure I'm on Do Not Disturb. All right. In theory, nothing bad will happen if I do this. So check this out. See this insane QR code? This is an app called QR Control. QR Control works with a thing that ships on most GoPros called GoPro Labs. And Labs basically takes your GoPro and makes it controllable with a QR code. So what you do is you take this thing, and when it's powered on, you point it at the QR code like that, and the GoPro reads this. And the reason this is, moving like crazy is we're also setting the time. So as the time on my phone changes, it's 1 p.m. local right now, it's resetting that for the GoPro. So it's a great way to just program these things without having to use a bunch of buttons, or like, that's how you use this without a screen. So I'm setting to, zoom in all the way here. Oh wait, yeah, I got the digital zoom. Let's get all the way in there. I'm in full frame, 4K, 120 frames per second, wide lens, no zoom. EIS is image stabilization, right? No, okay. I did want to mess with the image stabilization stuff. Can I do prefs? There's all this stuff. Motion is, I think, what I want. Delay, no, that's not what I want. Where are the settings to turn off the the image stabilization stuff? Speed? We tried that. ProTune? ProTune is just image stuff. Bitrate, white balance, ISO, sharpness, prefs. I mean, if we can't do anything with the image stabilization, it's probably fine. Start in motion type. Oh, no. This is start on motion, which I don't want. Mask motion. Extras? No. All right, gamers. This is good enough for me. Mode, preset, full frame. And I think we're good. So I've got a power supply with me. Oh, we're so zoomed in. It's crazy. My camera says it's starting to overheat. So like if it shuts off, we may have to pull a fast one here. I'm missing a couple super chats, by the way. I will try to do my best to keep up, but why don't we start by plugging in the power supply, and then I'll catch up on the super-de-duper chats. So before we tear these cameras apart, I do think it is like a capital W wise decision to power them on and make sure they work. All right. So you won't be able to see this too well, but I'll do my best. If I turn this, ooh, secret avionics mount. Put this over here. So this is a power supply, and you can barely see the screen, which not much I can do about that. Maybe I can put a piece of tape under it. Great. You can kind of see it. So we're at 7.4 volts. Let's go up to like 9 or 8. And then we're just going to power on every camera and make sure it works. Let me get an SD card for each one of these things too. And actually, before we do that, super chat time. Okay. GamerCool56 says, you actually got me into building model rockets. 4 exploded during parachute deployment. Yikes. Blow it up or blow it out, brother, you know? Blow it up or blow it out. Harmon says, I have a buddy named Harmon. There's a trail by my house, and I go on walks with him at sunset. It's really beautiful. Anyway, Harmon doesn't say anything, but did super chat. Hi, Harmon. Trash Rocket, thank you for the super chat. Josh, as a 20-year-old electronics tech, I cringe at flexing the ribbon cable like that. Any reason you aren't following the iFixit teardown guide for these? No reason other than that I think I watched it once. You have to flex it like this if you want it to fit in a rocket. Like, especially really small rockets, when the board is mounted vertically in the airframe, you have to do this disgusting 90-degree turn. It's not good for the flex cable, but big electronics doesn't want you to know this. Flex cables can make unholy motions a couple times in their life. They don't like doing it a lot, so I wouldn't cycle it that way. But they can handle it. Have you tried the DJI FPV cam? No, the DJI Osmo, not Osmo, the Air unit does look interesting, but Zyla tried it and she said she couldn't get it to start recording without the goggles, and that sounds like a capital T thumbs down for me. let's get some SD cards. All right. I got 3 cards. Shouldn't need all 3, but let's start here. So by default, I think these record in like 4K 60. They should be pretty self-explanatory, but you know, red and black, and of course they don't really strip a lot of cable for you. And it's no effort November, so I'm not going to strip more cable off. We're just going to see if that works. And we are looking for recording lights somewhere. I think right there. All right, you ready? Let's find out if this works. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Red, black, 8.4 volts, 1.4 amps. Cool. It's drawing current, drawing 200. So it does this little startup thing, and then it's just going to shut off. So yeah, okay, so drawing no current now, and then when I click record, it'll start, and it'll draw, I don't know, a couple hundred milliamps. Cool. It's recording. So let's all take note, 500 milliamps at 8.4 volts. This is currently recording at, I mean, I'm just going to guess. I think it's 4K 60. But it doesn't matter because we're going to go up to 4K 120. So I'm going to hit this one more time. It's going to go bup, 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 blink, 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 and it turns itself off. So now, check this out. I have my GoPro QR code thing. I'm going to turn the camera on, and it's just going to blink periodically to let me know that it's on, because there's no buzzer, there's nothing like that. I'm not sure if you can see this on the screen. Yeah, okay. So you can see the little red dot that shows up from time to time? So that means the camera's on, and now I'm going to hold it up here and watch the red dot. Okay, see how it blinked twice? Blink twice, blink twice. This, every time it blinks twice, it's setting the lab's stuff in it. So you really only need to wait for one time for it to do that. So now I'm going to power it down. Then I'm going to hit record, and it should go up to like 700 this time. Yep, there it is, 716. And it's recording. So up at 700 is how I know it's doing 4K 120. It draws a lot more power doing that. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, you know? So that's great. One camera works. Let's hit record, let it turn off, wait for this to go to 0. And now we're going to do this 2 more times. Very exciting process. How's everyone's no effort November going? Do y'all need a reminder to put in no effort? Sometimes I need that. I was going to do this stream on the second channel, and then I realized sometimes I need a little reminder to not get too freaked out to put things on the main channel. Oh, I guess... Hold on. Did I accidentally create a problem? Hold on. Am I stupid? It's possible. Okay. Black to black. Red to red. And let's zoom out just a little bit. Okay, no, I'm not stupid. I'm just bad at everything. So, yeah, no, sometimes I need a little reminder that it's, you know, people follow this channel because they want interesting tech stuff. It doesn't always have to be, like, super polished main channel, you know, extravaganza. So, let's record. We're going to do the same test as before. It's going up. And we're at 500 milliamps. This is recording. So I'm going to hit the button again. And then we're going to labs it up. I mean, this is predictable, but, you know, it's a good lock screen. All right, we're going to labs it up here. So I will power on. We're going to wait till it goes into the little idle state. Oh boy! All right, we got a couple of super chats. Let me program this, and then I will address the super chat in the room. Um, okay, the camera's on. It's blinking once every, I don't know, 5 seconds, 7 seconds. Cool. So now it's going to do the double blink when I hold it over. Bop bop. 1, 2. We'll let it do it a couple of times. Doesn't really matter, but great. Okay, cool. And now we should be back to idle, just one blink, and I'm going to shut it down to make sure that after we power cycle, the settings stay. This is the reality of like a lot of engineering work, I feel like, which is it looks really cool when you condense the amount of time it takes to do stuff. But in the short term, it's just like a lot of really boring tests and checks. All right, so we're up at 700 milliamps again. We're recording 700. That's good enough for me. You know, the other thing you could do, and I would do this if I weren't streaming, the other thing you could do is just plug the SD card in and verify, which I might do later. Even once these cameras are taken apart, I can totally change the settings using the labs thing. So it's fine either way, but for the purposes of this stream, I want to keep it moving a little bit faster. I also am making very little effort to keep up with the chat. So, you know, my apologies for that. All right, this is good. The SD card is in. Red to red, black to black. Gonna power on, turns the camera on. Okay. Once this is done, I'll do the super chats. Once this is done. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing as before. We're going to make sure that it records in regular mode. It'll go to 500 milliamps. When it's rolling here, it's rolling 4K 60 or whatever the default setting is. Cool. That looks good. So then I'm going to hit record, stop it. It's going to blink a bunch of times and turn itself off. Then we have to power on the camera again, but not recording. And then we're going to use the QR code labs thing to program it. Okay, it's blinking a bunch. 1, 2. And now we'll power off. And one more time, I'm going to hit record from the powered off state. It's going to go up to 700 milliamps. Yup. All right, folks. Do I even have to say it? We're so back. It's crazy. I mean, we're entirely back. All right, I'm gonna hit record, stop, and now I will do the super chat. Cool. We're GoPro'd up. I'm going professional. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm going pro. All right, I've missed a lot. We're gonna catch up really quick, and then we're gonna take these things and rip them to pieces. All right, the DJI FPV cam. Yes, will you release your music on YouTube or Spotify? I have released it on SoundCloud. If you check in, I think the Simplex V2 video has it. A couple videos I have my SoundCloud linked in the description, which is really funny to unironically be like, check out my SoundCloud. Hi from a cold Scotland. Hello. Hello, as Scott Manley would say. Hi from a cold Scotland from 2 people. Wow. Hello to you both. Thank you for the super chats. Max says broken GoPro fund. Good news. I have only broken 1 GoPro doing this process, and I've done it 5 or 6 times now. So the success rate is okay. It's a passing grade. It's better than like a C+. Trash Rocket, thank you very much. Lautaro, cool name. Hi Joe, why don't you activate memberships on this channel and give them the same benefits as patrons? You know, I don't do that because I haven't thought of it. There's no reason other than it just has not popped up in my mind. If y'all want to do the memberships thing, I mean, I know some people are not super big fans of Patreon, and you know, there's reasons for everything. So yeah, maybe that's a good idea. I haven't thought of it. I became a patron a while back. Thanks a lot for the extra content. You have helped me through a really bad depression. I have started my own rocket project, not going that well. Thanks, Trash Rocket. I'm glad the videos were enjoyable. Yeah, man, engineering is truly just we're so back and it's so over. And there's a lot of it's so over at the beginning. You have to power through to get to the we're so back. And one more here from C. Reynolds. May your skies be blue and your winds be light. Ooh, that's a new one. All right. Your winds be light. I mean, I guess low and light are pretty much the same thing. But thank you guys. Thank you very much for the broken GoPro fund. Gunch willing, we will not break a GoPro today. But why don't we start and we'll see what happens. So this is the part where I got to put a respirator on. I'm going to move my coffee and any open beverages out of the room. You want to see what's coming up? It's still going to take like a month or two. Q motor case. Big boy. 8-inch diameter and like 7 feet. Jesus. Okay. Respirator time, baby. What does patrol mean? Patrol. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, thank you. Wait, I've definitely missed more than this. Okay, wait, no. Okay, I got Max. Yes. Trash Rocket, C. Patrol. Dude, thank you guys. This is very generous. I really appreciate it. I promise I will try my best to not need to use the broken GoPro fund. But if I keep talking, we're never going to find out. Can you strap a Q motor to my Fiat 500? I really struggle merging onto the highway. I will tell you what, people will get out of your way whether they want to or not using the Q motor. So, Joey PPE back in the building. We've got our safety glasses. And it's just Dremling plastic, so it's like not that bad, but you know, why risk it? Is your plan to fly the upper stage of the space shot on its own before the full flight? Yes, it is, Matthew. So we're gonna fire the Q motor. I'm trying to set up a remote mix site, and it's going slowly and a little bureaucratically. I'm really close. Like buying land in Mojave is surprisingly cheap. You can get a couple acres for like a few $1,000s, and I'm really close to just buying a shipping container, putting it in the middle of the desert, and being like, I'm done with all this. But before I do that, anyway, before the Q motor gets made, the Q motor is actually pretty easy to make. I just need a place to make it, because no more motors in the garage is Joey B's new rule for himself. All right. There's one here that says message retracted, but thank you, Naman. Not a therapist says, can you... Oh, wait. Okay, I already read that. And then Meat Rocket Fun. Thank you, guys. Let's cut open some cameras. All right. You got to check. You'll see I do this every time. You check, you cover the inlets, and then you suck in to make sure that it's airtight. I do it every time. We'll try to keep this quick so that you can hear my beautiful voice more. But let's get rid of these. And there's not a ton of dremeling we need to do. But I'm going to cover my computer with paper towels so it doesn't get like crazy. Uh-oh. Oh no! The overhead camera shut off. It overheats. All right, what do we do about this? I have an idea. We're going to let this cool down. I kept this camera here just in case, and I'm glad I did. No stream goes smoothly. I mean, truly no stream I do goes smoothly. Oh, great, this is out of battery. 1 second. All right, fellas. It is both so over. How is this also 50? Oh my gosh. It might be over. It might be so over. Okay. Third time's the charm. I got this. Grab the HDMI cable. This is very silly and dumb. No stream is allowed to go smoothly. Nice. Cool. All right. We should be cooking. Can anyone tell me why we're not yet cooking? Yeah, there it is. All right, I'm built different. Oh, wow. It's not what I wanted at all. Folks, it might be over. Fit to screen. Great. All right. It's Dremel time. At long last. Here we go. It's like 3 times the amount of work to stream what you do instead of just doing it. Dremel. Okay, so we're going to go around the outside. Can I turn autofocus on? So we're going to go around the outside of the camera, like that. And then we're going to break the plastic pieces off, and then there's a little bit of metal that has to get taken off too. Whoops, cut my little board there. I have to take the SD cards out. Okay, this should be pretty close. Something's stuck over here.
Hey, by the way, if any of y'all know anyone at GoPro, this process sucks, but I love their cameras, so I would be really, I would love to work with them and just buy this instead of having to do this. Because there's no screws. I mean, this thing is like injection molded together. Wow, it really doesn't want to focus. This thing is like injection molded together, so it's not easy to just like take it apart. So I can't remember. It's like a couple more steps to this. Yeah, they like injection mold it into it. So I think what I need to do is just pry it off. Yeah, this is the move. It's extremely sketchy. Oh, right. They also, oh God, I hate the way they do this. Okay. So this piece on top of the sensor is no good. And then I need to unscrew the sensor. And I think that's one of these guys. It's too big. I think it's a 1.2. Yeah, that's too small. And that's too big. Awesome. How about this? That's too small. This looks promising. That'll do it. I'm bummed my top-down camera overheated. It'll come back soon. Oh, this also doesn't fit. Okay, hold on. Man, the price I pay to get good footage, I would happily buy this from GoPro. I've not tried like every way of getting in touch with them, but I've tried a couple of ways and it hasn't gone great. Perhaps one day I'll find one of these things that fits. Okay, this is a T5. Boom! We're back. Okay. T5 is what I want. So you have to take the sensor off the plastic. So stupid. And then there's one down in here. Yeah. I guess this is the lens, not the sensor. Once this thing comes out, it'll get a lot easier to understand and we'll turn the overhead back on. But, okay, now that this is done, the rest of this can pretty much pop out. And then the sensor has to be broken off, which is a really upsetting process, but one that I haven't found another way to do. Okay, so this comes out. So, like, this is all loose. But the sensor remains kind of trapped on there, and you have to like bend it off, which is, again, very upsetting. I think I need to take this plastic piece off too. I've never narrated my way through one of these. It's exciting. So the thing with the naked GoPros is that they aren't like, they're more expensive too. Like buying these direct from GoPro is, I think, the cheapest option because the naked GoPros, you're paying someone else to deconstruct it. And I'm perfectly capable of doing the deconstruction. I just don't want to pay, like it's already a $300 camera. And I bought one of those like Flywoo, like deconstructed GoPros that have like the fan on it and everything. I don't know how much you can understand me, but anyway, I considered the naked GoPros. They didn't seem like it was worth it since I can just deconstruct it myself. Okay, there it is. All right, beautiful. We are back in business. They call him Joey B, and the B stands for back in business. All right.
That should be good enough now. Let's see if we can get this camera to work again. One sec. Gotta reset, deactivate, activate. Come on, man. What's going on here? I am what they call, in the business, we call this being a professional. All right, so we're going to take this. I need to rotate 180 degrees. All right, we're so back. Here we go. So check me out. This is where we end up. This is the thing that I want. And there are a couple of pieces here. There's this little gasket. We don't need this. That's goodbye. The sensor package comes with this thermal tape that helps it, like, I think it's thermal tape. It's supposed to help it, like, touch a back plate or something. I mean, I don't know what it was. I've never found it to be useful. So I just cut it off because it's kind of annoying. And I do that really close to the ribbon cable in order to stress out everyone in the chat. So then we're going to simplify our life just a little bit. I'm going to take this plastic spudger. You want to be careful with metal around this because it's, you know, it's electronics. And I'm going to spudge up the ribbon cable. Beautiful. I'm built different. So this is the sensor and lens. This is the ribbon cable. And eventually we're going to take this ribbon cable and we're going to replace it with a different one. Because as one of the viewers pointed out earlier, this is really stressful, like this short of a bendy section. So I can technically do like a 90-degree turn if I wanted to mount this vertically in a rocket and have the camera look down this way. But it puts stresses on the cable that make me think like, wow, I'm definitely going to ruin this. The next step here is we want to take the back plate off of this, but I think, what should we do, chat? Should I finish the other 3 GoPros, or should we bring this GoPro to completion and then do the other 2? Should I like walk all 3 GoPros through the steps at once, or should we do one and then another and then another? There's no risk either way. It's more just like what you guys would rather do. Do the one before the cam dies again. Complete one, complete one, complete one. Okay, I think complete one's good because then I can take the other 2. We don't have to do the other 2 on stream. Maybe we could do one more. But I would like to film one of these for like a regular BPS video, and I think that's how we should do it. So I'll do 1 or 2 of these on stream. I'll show you the rest of the process, and then great, I love it. So these things, Garbo, capital G Garbo. We don't need them anymore. So I'm going to take them, put them in on another table. And take all the extra screws. Not going to need those. All right. So, raise your hand. Put a little hand in the chat. Raise your hand if you watched the video about the meat rocket booster. And I promise this is going somewhere, but you have to put your hands in the chat. if you watch the video about the meat rocket booster, I want to know. I'm going to reconnect the sensor. It's a little snap. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay. And now let's get our SD card back. And so the reason I ask about the meat rocket video is every step of the way, I checked the fins on the rocket to make sure that they still rotated, the servos. And we're going to do the same thing here. I have my power supply. It's not outputting anything. I've got the SD card in, and every step of the way, I'm going to turn on the camera, and I'm going to make sure it still records. The only other thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to rip off this little piece of foam around the LED so we can see it more easily. So we are looking right up here. I want to see some blinking red lights. You ready? Everyone ready? Power's on. It's drawing current. Got a blink. And then it's going to turn itself off, and then I'm going to hit record. And it should pull up to 700 milliamps. And you're not going to see the screen, but you'll have to trust me. I'll tell you the truth. So that's the record button. I've hit it. It's turning on. Those long, slow blinks are recording. It's drawing 740 milliamps. So we are recording 4K 120 frames per second. And yeah, that's good news. So I'm going to turn the camera off. So now it's time to get riskier. You know when they say risk it for the biscuit? In this case, the biscuit is a new ribbon cable. So I'm going to take this off again. Such a stressful process. These little things, they make me very stressed. All right. So the sensor, we can also do a couple other mods here. I don't need these little guys. These are little mount points. And these cameras, at least at the 4-inch scale, they just get epoxied in. So these take up more space than we need. Also, so people are also like, why don't you use the naked GoPro? It's like, there's so many modifications to this already. Like, what's the point? All right. I need an X-Acto knife, and I don't quite know where it is. 1 second, let me look. All right, well, this will work. Well, this is the wrong blade for this knife, but it should still work. Yeah, it works. Yeah, this is not the right blade for the knife, but who cares, huh? Let me take the back plate off of this first, and then we will deal with the super chat. I'm also going to reduce the exposure a little bit. All right. So the back plate needs to come off, and that has to happen carefully. Get a real good close-up of the thumb here, and of my over-caffeinated hands shaking too much. Whoops. Is everyone feeling stressed today? As long as I can get you to leave this stream feeling really stressed out, that's kind of my goal. And I think we're on track to accomplish that. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but the tools I'm selecting, you know, the speed which I'm moving, my goal is to really get everyone on the edge of their seat. Oh, I can just lift it up. This is way better. Yeah, this is 1000% better. hard to feel like I'm not going to ruin everything. Yep, that's the ticket. Okay, so there's some like heat tape stuff that we're not going to use. This big ground plane for heat dissipation. So this is the sensor package. And on top of it, there's some Kapton tape, which we're going to remove. Love Kapton tape. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So then, this, you take a flat surface, and you just lift up. And that is the ribbon cable. Okay, so this bad boy is pretty short. He's not long enough for our purposes, but luckily, I'm not the only one with this problem. There are other people out there. There are other brave travelers who have my issue. They think to themselves, how come there isn't a longer ribbon cable? And the answer is there is. There are at least two, and I will show you them after I address some of the super chat here. Okay. So, I've missed a little bit, as always. I've suggested the membership thing because in countries like Argentina, where I'm from, it's more complicated to pay on pages like Patreon. Okay, cool. I will. I'll see if I can get memberships going on the channel. Those Patreon updates are really fun to make too, so it'll be good to get more people to see them. The O3 air unit had live video, yes, but like it's only 10 kilometers. I don't know. I'm not that sold on the live video thing unless you put a ton of thought into it. Like, no commercial product is going to do the type of live video that's really going to be valuable for this. Thank you, Eric. Thanks, Chris. Naked GoPro kit with the instructions. Thanks to Merkel. McKill? Thank you. Can we do a... What is this? Can we do a meat rocket money train? Oh, I get it. And break Joe's brain, not a sponsor. Thank you. Can I wasn't even into rocketry, but I love your videos. Thanks, Elias. And then, I don't know why, but until recently I believed that Charlie Garcia did not exist and that you had invented him to... That is really funny. Maybe we should start that as a bit. Maybe Charlie doesn't actually exist, you know? Unironically, as a bit, that is really funny. Wow, I love that. Okay, so earlier I said this, and I'll say it again. This ribbon cable is the limiting factor for our situation, right? We've got this nice ribbon cable, but it's not quite long enough for what I want. I mean, it will work. You just have to put it under a lot of stress. So, a couple of options. The first thing I tried is a thing that I found from AliExpress. One second. 1 minute. So I've tried this twice now, but I'm going to try it a third time just in case the cable is really unreliable. This is a much longer ribbon cable, and in theory, it should do the same thing. I say much longer, it's like 2/3 as long. Or it's, you know, whatever. So it's the same exact connections. I think it may technically be for a different GoPro. But otherwise, I've checked this stuff under a microscope. It looks about the same, and it's branded as doing the same thing. It looks the same on both sides. You know, relatively, like, we're looking at about the same connections to the same places. So, when I've turned the camera on, it doesn't burn the camera. It doesn't do anything bad to it, but it just doesn't work. But let's try it, right? Maybe I'm stupid, and, you know, we've all seen me put conductive materials on top of carbon fiber and be surprised that they don't work. So maybe, you know, maybe I'm just doing it wrong. So I'm going to connect one side to the sensor, the other side here. Nice little crunchy feeling when it goes in. It's a horrible feeling connector. All right, turn the output off. Red to red, black to black, and I will just read out what the power supply says because I'm not going to move the camera around that much. But you'll be able to see pretty soon if it works. So one more time, this is plugged in, this is plugged in. I've folded down the little thing. We've got the power supply on, 8.4 volts, and we're powering on. So we're looking for a little red blink. Did it blink? Has anything blinked? It's drawing 315 milliamps. Nothing happened. Yeah, this is about what happened last time too. I'll try one more time with this. I see no blinking. And we're drawing about 318 milliamps. So something's powered on, but the camera isn't happy. I think the camera can't see the sensor. So at the risk of being overkill, because I know the life cycle on these ribbon cables is limited, at the risk of being overkill, let's double check that the short sensor cable works. Okay, that's disconnected. I'll take this, lift it up. Okay, so that's the long cable. This is the short cable. Short cable's connected. It's all the way in. I'm gonna connect it here. Short cable's connected. Red to red. Black to black. And my camera's starting to overheat. All right, you ready? Power it on. Blink. 200 milliamps. And then if I hit record, turns on and starts recording. Yeah, we're so back. So that's the short cable. So like this one just doesn't work. I think there's some pinout problem. It's whatever. It was like $5 on AliExpress. So no harm, no foul. Where there could be some foul is I tried a second option. There's a place called Red Kite Drones, and they have provided a cable that turns at a 90-degree angle, and that is interesting to me. This is overheating, so pause. One sec. All right, give me a minute. Image capture. Whoops. Hi. Hello. Dear Camlink, please turn on. Hello? Oh man, everything froze. Oh dude, this is so bad. The haters said I couldn't do it, and they were mostly right. I'll be honest. Yeah, the haters said I couldn't do it, and oh my gosh, dude. Okay. How come the Camlink doesn't work? This is so bad. Imagine believing this man is capable of a space shot. All right. Hello. Hi. It's me. In theory, do I need a new HDMI cable? This is so bad, dude. It's over. It might have never been more over. All right, well, how's everyone doing? It doesn't matter what I do. I must troubleshoot live on stream. There's nothing I can do to prevent this. Nothing I can do to prevent this. Says only channel where this regularly happens. All right. Cross your fingers. I think I'm feeling good about this one. Come on, Camlink. There we go. It was the cable. Classic. Dude, that's an all-timer. There we go. Fit to screen. Man. I'm so good at everything. It's honestly a little unfair how good I am at streaming. Okay, so we are back. I was talking about the ribbon cable before everything exploded forever. So there's this company called Red Kite Drones. Have I opened one of these already? I feel like I have. Yeah, here we go. They make a GoPro extension. Here it is. GoPro extension. And this one, boy, it would really be helpful to have a top-down view. But this one goes at a right angle. So, my laptop's taking off now. Echoing audio. Oh, dude, I'm so good at everything. It's oh my gosh. I promise I don't try to make these things a mess. They just become bad. All right, so this is a right angle ribbon cable. We're going to try this, and we're going to find out if it's any good. I'm going to use the spudger, take this thing off, use the knife to get rid of this. Gosh, it would be great to have a top-down camera for this, if only it didn't overheat. So this says it's for GoPro 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's what the logo on it says. And they've pretty clearly done a custom run. Yeah, that's it. Get in there. Nice. That's a good fit. Okay. Now this I can get into. Because check this out. Look at this situation. This is quite nice. Why are you not focused better? Check this out. Look at this. This is quite nice. Look at that. I love a good bounce. It's bouncing on it. Pause. So this is nice because it means I can mount it vertically. I can pop the camera out the side. I can really comfortably, with this length, I can do one of these. I can do one of these. Oops, that popped it out. But, you know, once I epoxy it in. So now the real question. Question of the day. Does this actually work? Because it doesn't matter if it doesn't work. I don't care how much I can bend it if it doesn't actually work. So let's hook it up, turn the output off. I've never tried this one before. I have tried the AliExpress one, so that was not surprising. All right, chat. What are we going to do? What's the luckiest thing that you can do so that we can find out if this works? Can we get this is an OG thing. Can we get some claws up in the chat? Can we get some claws up? Toss a crab in the chat. Claws. Some claws up would be great. That would make me feel a lot better. And while you guys do that, I'm going to read 2 more here. How did you launch then land a rocket and you can't keep cameras? That's a good one. Gosh, that is so funny that this guy didn't believe Charlie Garcia existed. That's the funniest thing that's happened all day. He's going to love that. All right. Are we ready? I'm ready. I'm feeling okay about it. Let's try it. So we're looking for blinks right in this region. And it's focused well enough. Powering on. 1 blink. It's pulling 200 milliamps, and then it should shut off. All right. And the real test, I'm going to hit record. And if it starts recording and goes to 700 milliamps, we're back in business. I've hit record. It's pulling 760, a little bit more than usual. I have a couple of theories on this, 750. I bet the extra length on all of these cables contributes to the ultimate resistance going to the sensor. So it's pulling about 760, it's rolling, and you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to stop this, we're going to power off, and I'm going to demonstrate the next problem that we need to solve. All right? I'm going to demonstrate the next problem that needs solving. One sec. Nice. Okay. This is an old phone. I say this in the video where I talk about how to film a rocket launch, but keep your old phones. Don't trade them in. If you're doing rockets, especially if you have an iPhone, these things do some of the best filming ever. At least for like something this size. So I keep these and then I just put them in dangerous positions around the launch pad. If you've got an old phone, just keep it. But the other thing that it ends up being really good at doing, really good at doing is acting as a timer. Especially like acting as a timer on camera specifically. All right. So I'm going to start recording. Stop, reset. And I'm going to leave this mostly off screen because I don't know if it's going to like pop up with weird notifications or something. All right. Ready? The camera's on. I'm going to start recording and I'm going to demonstrate the next issue that we need to solve. I've hit record. Ready? It's recording. You can see the light going. All right. So now I'm just going to leave this on screen and I'll answer some questions. But I need the chat to freak out when it stops rolling. And I'll just give you a little hint. About 4 minutes. Yeah, we're probably looking at about 4 minutes. All right, chat, what's up? Someone says, "Oh, what's up? What's up, Brian?" Hey, what do you mean? Where did you get your hairstyle? I got it at the store. I bought it at I got it at Kohl's. I got that at Kohl's, and then I got the bald spot from my dad. So that's if you're looking to mimic it. What GoPro is this? This is a GoPro Hero 10 Bones. It's one of these bad boys. I'm tearing it apart, and I'm trying to currently demonstrate how fast this thing overheats. And I would get out the thermal camera, but that's a lot of work, and I don't want to. And it's no effort November, so, you know, I'm allowed to do that. So yeah, no, I expect this to overheat within about 4 minutes. And it'll just shut down. It does it pretty safely. It has a bunch of like internal thermal couples that keep the camera safe. Because GoPros are basically ovens that happen to record video. But we're going to solve that problem using the best tool known in engineering, which is just add more stuff to solve the problem. And if I could find the more stuff that I want to add, here it is. This is just a piece of 6061 regular old 1/4-inch aluminum stock. I've sanded the edges a little bit so it's not so sharp. We're going to thermal paste this onto the GoPro, and it's going to do insane things for our overheating time. It's just a heatsink. It doesn't even need fins. It just needs to increase the time because we remote armed the cameras. So, you know, 4 minutes might work for a flight of a rocket. But you turn on the cameras and you expect that, like, okay, you turn on the cameras and maybe it's 10 more minutes sitting on the pad while they're rolling. So if we can increase this to something like 30 minutes, we're in business. And all it costs is like, 20 grams, 30 grams of aluminum. No blue tape. Yeah, that's true. I guess I don't have a lot of blue tape in this one. No hot glue either, because hot glue melts too low temperature for this stuff. This thing gets up to like 200 F. Is there no way to electronically signal the GoPro to record? There is. That's what I do. On the rocket, I connect the GoPro to Ava, and then I send a telemetry command to have Ava turn it on. But, like, you can't, for the size of the rockets that I'm building and for the structure of how launches work at FAR, you can't hit a button and have any reasonable certainty that you're going to leave the pad in 4 minutes. Unless you buy the FAR day, unless you pay the $900 FAR fee. And, like, I'll do that for really big stuff, but not for this. I sent you a video about the AIM-9 missile roller-ons that would solve your fin tab issues. Yes, but the roller-ons, I don't want to. That's my reasoning. I don't want to. I actually do want to do a roller-on project, but I'm not using them for the space shot. Oh, look at that. You see it? It just blinked. 3 minutes, 57 seconds. So that's awful. That's not even 4 minutes. That means, thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. You did a good job freaking out, just like I asked. That means that conceivably, so it's about, the meat rocket's about 50 seconds to apogee. 45, 50 seconds to apogee. And that's the rocket that this is going on. And if I wanted to capture the descent takes another, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes minimum. So this is not enough. And even if I just wanted to capture the ascent, I would need to arm the rocket, get in the car, drive to the away cell, start recording on the camera, get the telemetry set up. I guess you could arm it. Whatever. I'm not doing it. It's stupid, and it's dumb, and I hate it, and I'm not doing it. And if we just add, like, 30 grams of aluminum, this number is going to triple, or more than that. It might even 10x. Should we demo it? Chat, you decide what we're doing next. Would you like a demo of how much better this is? Actually, yeah, why am I asking? This is my stream. I feel like I want a demo. This is my stream. What am I doing? So, oh my gosh, that is so hot. Not in the cool way. Not in the way of, like, let's go out. So, the situation here, I think we can switch back to the top-down camera. I want to give a big shout-out to Sony, by the way, for overheating all the time forever. Shout out to Sony for that. So here's the deal. This is like the sensor board. This is actually 2 boards, one on top of the other. Disconnect this. You can sort of see they're like sandwiched there. And on the back is this piece of metal that keeps burning me as I touch it. This just comes off when you like unscrew this stuff. Now, I've tried this a couple of ways. I think for the purposes of this stream, it's, oh man, I'm so smart. It's insane. It's like crazy how smart and good at everything I am. Hold on. Here we go. Thanks for the patience, folks. Let's try this one more time. This is the sensor board. This is the control board. This is a piece of metal. On the back is a piece of aluminum. They do this nice machining. They've got this really goofy bolt pattern. Oh, sick. Now my face camera isn't working. Is it hard to watch this because of how good I am at streaming? So I have this sneaking suspicion that if we were to simply thermal paste, like that, thermal paste the aluminum onto the back, that's all we would need to do. However, in all of the cameras that I've done before, I've gone one step further. I've taken the aluminum backing off, put a bunch of thermal paste in between this board and the backing, then done it a second time, put a bunch of thermal paste between the backing and this. I think that's more than we need, but let's try it. Let's just take it off for like the purposes of showing you what the deal is here. So we need to remove all these little screws. It's gonna be a great time. We're gonna have so much fun doing it. And the trick here is that all these screws do need to go back at some point, so I'm gonna put them in sort of a like make sense-y situation. All right, people want a demo, so this is great. We're gonna get to do the demo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Buckle my shoe. You know what they say? So the other stuff is Torx. And here it is. Do we think this is T5? I think this is T5. It is T5. Huge. Okay, there's one. How's everyone doing? Oh, why the mask? That's a good question. I forgot to take it off. That's why. I'm one of the things I'm best at is not noticing things. That's one. I would say that's one of my top 5 skills. Okay, you ready? Where's my spudger? Gotta be real careful. You can actually see the thermal paste on the inside there. Feels like I am. Oh, I'm pulling a. I'm pulling the microphone cable. Okay. So, yeah, the level of deconstruction here is a little crazy. So this is a piece of thermal paste. That thermal paste, this situation, this little board, this little guy, to the backing, to the metal backing. All of these electronics, though, like presumably they all get hot because like this thing has thermal paste on it too. I don't know what each one of these does. I'd be interested to hear theories. The microphone is right here. This is the mic. So that's what this little extension cable is. And, you know, I'm not even sure that we do need the backing. Like, I'm kind of tempted to remove the backing altogether. Maybe we should toss this one to the chat. The backing just, I think it complicates it more than we need. And like this is already flat. We just have to make sure things don't short out. That's my main concern, is things shorting. So like the backing has all of this insulative tape. This is a dielectric here. So I think the main benefit of the backing is that it prevents any contact with metal here from shorting things out. There's a lot of stuff that could short out. The backing is for heat dissipation. You want to CNC your own backing? Yes, I do. My buddy Sam Austin reverse engineered the bolt pattern for these because he's doing the same thing. He's taking these apart. And I do want to CNC my own backing. Like ideally we do like a copper, you know, real nice. We could even put like water in there and like let water phase change happen to like really do some thermal mass stuff. Phase shift cooling is super sick. There's a team in I think the Netherlands that does wax, like paraffin wax, and they do phase shift cooling. Anyway, way down the rabbit hole. Let's do the full demo. I think I want to keep the backing. So I'm gonna get rid of this thermal paste because I don't care about it, and because I'm reckless and dangerous and you know, a risk to myself and others. That's good reasoning, right? I can use that to do this. So I'm using XTM50, which is expensive, but it's good. You know, there's a reason people use it. I'm gonna put on gloves for this because it gets kind of everywhere. This is going really well. Thank you guys for joining. I'm having a good time. Can't you add a heatsink? Yes, I can. That is what we're working on. Demo it. Cool. It's happening. All right. We have to make sound effects when we do this. I'm sorry, I don't really have a choice. It's just kind of the rules. Thermal paste, I will remind you before doing this, is a dielectric. So it shouldn't short anything out, and I have not had issues with that yet. We're pasting everything. Okay. I'm gonna use the spudger to spread it out just a little bit. I want it in everything. This is like $25 of thermal paste. There's a lot of oil in here. Once again, if you want footage that is about 80% as good as this, you can just get a RunCam split. But if you are insane and a crazy person who enjoys pain, you can do this. And the footage will be better. It's just sort of a question of like, is this really worth it? And to me it is. But I think for most people, probably not. You just have to like really be pretty sick in the head for this to be worthwhile. All right, fellas, I think the backing's going back on. I think that's the next step here. Yeah, backing's going back on. We're gonna be careful. I'm gonna use this, do the corner piece. Okay. One. You know what they say, right? 1, 2, 3, buckle my shoe. My buddy Colin said that in college, and I think about it every single day. This is standard, isn't it? Or Phillips. Wow, I drank too much coffee before this. It's proving to be an issue. Okay, one more. So, okay, folks, put it in the chat. Do we want to test as is? Do we want to see if there's an improvement, or do we want to thermal paste the big piece of aluminum on and try that way? So either put test as is or keep going. Test, 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 test. Wow, okay. We have some strong opinions. Milo says, I assume this means the warranty is voided. I think I should try sending this back to GoPro and see what they say. You're hot when you're tinkering with electronics. Whoa! Can we get some chili peppers in the chat, please? All right. Let's do it. Boom. We're going to test as is. The people have spoken, and who am I to fight that? So this is our previous record, 357. Everyone remember this number, okay? 357. And chat, you know the rules, right? You need to yell at me when it stops recording. I mean, there's a good chance that I pick up on it, but just in case, yell at me when it stops. So this is about the same setup as before. 4K, 120 frames per second, runtime test, but all we've changed so far is we've removed the metal backing, we've put a bunch of XTM50 thermal paste in there, and then we've replaced the metal backing. So the next step after this is we'll do a runtime test with the aluminum, like, massive heatsink. I don't expect it to get much further than this. Maybe we get to like 5 minutes. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, power on. It's gonna blink once. If everything works, that's one blink. I'm gonna wait for it to turn off. And all right, 357, that's the number to beat. I'm gonna start recording. Blink, blink, blink. And it's recording. I'm excited. I'm excited to find out. All right, now we can do some questions for the chat. If anyone's got questions, hit your boy up, and we'll see what we can get to here. And then remember, yell at me when it stops recording. Actually, yeah, put your questions in the chat. I'm gonna get myself a little bit more coffee. 1 minute. Okay, still recording? Still going. Yeah, unfortunately, I think the GoPro warranty is a little voided. When blue tape rocket? I don't know. I really want to do a blue tape rocket, though. Have you tested any of your cheap cables for iron with a magnet? No, I have not. What are the odds of BPS having an intern program? Pretty high. If you want to intern at BPS, there are a couple of things. You do pretty much need to live in Los Angeles. You need to have a car or like the ability to get around. But other than that, I would like to open it up to another internship. So if that's like on your radar and you want to intern, I've done paid internships before. This would be paid. But I can't it wouldn't be like hiring someone full time. So I can't, anyway, it'd be a paid role, but, yeah, if you're interested, there's a contact form on the website, or you can just send an email and some info to joe@BPS.space. And I don't have like a time frame or anything like that. I just think it would be good to try another internship program. Done it a few times. It's never been like disastrous. It's just like, I don't think I'm a very good boss. You kind of have to like have a good employee, but also be a good boss. All right. Do you ever worry that you might be the world's leading epoxy user? Oh no, I don't worry about that at all. There are DIY channels that are using way more epoxy than I am. Use a thermal camera or a thermometer to measure temperature. Yeah, I could. I've done that testing before. That's what is probably going to make it into the the video that goes on the main channel about this, the shorter version, the non-live version, but I'm not doing it right now. Favorite PLA brand? I used the eSun stuff for a while, and then Prusa has started like sponsoring the channel with machines and filaments, so now I use Prusa filament. But the eSun stuff is pretty good too. I don't quite understand why you have to convert GoPros at all. Does it have less running time without mods? The runtime without mods at all on the bones for the frame rate and resolution that I want is about 4 minutes or maybe 5 minutes, and that is not enough for my purposes. Might be enough for like short flights, but not for space shot stuff, not by a long shot. So I need to make modifications to allow it to run for longer. And the other thing with stock GoPros is they don't have the right form factor to stick them out of the side of the rocket. What you really want is to have a tiny little sensor like this to let it like stick outside of the rocket, and you can't do that without taking it apart. All right, we're getting a little bit longer recording time. Can you recommend your new full face respirator? Yeah, it's just a 3M one. It's whatever the like standard one is on Amazon. Did this freeze? I think this froze. Yeah, I'm reading old questions. Sorry. How's the heat on? Okay, hold on. Try the magnet. Oh, and that's it. That was about a minute longer than last time, about 4:46. Thank you guys. Thank you. You're doing such a good job letting me know. You guys are the best at letting me know when things happen. Okay, so now it's time for one more mod. It's time for one more demo. All right, and that is what happens when you take this, a brick of aluminum, and you thermal paste it to the back of this thing. Mind you, just so you understand, this is too hot for me to hold. I really should get a thermal camera just to show you, shouldn't I? Where is my thermal camera? Give me a minute here. Let me find it. Okay. It's Fleer time. Not sponsored. So mind you, this is what, maybe 2 minutes after? This is like 2 minutes after the fact. I don't know if you can see what it says. 100, this is in Fahrenheit, by the way. Wow, it's so hard to move this. 130. You can see where it was on the table beforehand. Sorry, this is kind of hard to do. So there's the camera. The backing has cooled off a decent amount because it's really the electronics that are heating up a lot. But yeah, this thing is cooking. All right. Cool. We'll do more. I'll do more with the thermal camera in like a longer video. We've got a bunch of footage that needs to get cut together. So now, let's do one more demo. And the one more demo is we're going to thermal paste. Oops. Come on. Okay. We're going to thermal paste this. We should weigh it. Let me show you exactly how much, because that's going to give a good benchmark for if you want to scale this. I've done several different sizes of aluminum, but this is 35 grams, 35 and a half grams of aluminum, and I do think the weight is pretty proportional to like what it will do. Yeah, 35 and a half grams. So the output is off. Let's disconnect this. We're going to thermal paste it to the back. Now, this is not like super accurate. We're running basically worst case scenario because this still is hot, but I'm going to run it this way either way. And also, it's my space program. I can do what I want. All right, here we go. We're going to thermal paste it up. And we're out. Back with another slammer of a live stream. Joseph Bislington back at it again. This is a somewhat used up thing, so we're going to run out of this too. Oh yeah, beautiful. That right there is about $400 of thermal paste. This stuff is stupid expensive. It's not actually that much. It's just like remarkably expensive. Those were not full tubes either. I'm using somewhat older tubes because I don't know. That's what I have. All right. So the only thing we want to be careful about here is this hole. Gotta be careful about the hole. All right. This is a mic hole. And I'm just going to spread this out. Frankly, this is probably plenty. Like the time scale that things move around, move and groove within this I could probably use like a little bit more. But importantly, we just need really good contact with this. All right, you ready? Yep, that's a nice soft bit of contact there. My house is creaking. All right, look at that. Beautiful. All right, that's pretty well pasted. And I'll leave it for like, we'll leave it for like a minute and then we'll start another runtime test. So 446 is the number to beat. We went up just a little bit. 446, folks. Joey B, thanks for all you do. Been watching for years. It's always been a highlight of my week when a new vid or stream comes from you. Oh, thanks, Brian. Thank you very much. It makes my day when people say they like my stuff. Mikil, I think Mikil. Your internship response made me curious. How many are actively involved job or internship with BPS.space? So right now it's just me. I do get some help from some of my goober friends when we end up at FAR. But no, right now it's just me. I have had 2 interns before, or 2 intern/employees. One was Parker in the summer of 2020 as a paid internship. He did a great job. He did a bunch of fin design and landing leg design. He was great. And then he had school. And then I had a full-time employee named Giacher in 2021 in the fall. And the goal was to like spin up the Signal R2 production stuff so that that could like be its own thing. But it didn't end up working out because that was like during the chip crisis, and we had so much trouble with these companies that would send us these counterfeit Bluetooth chips. And so after a certain amount of money spent, it was just like, this is not worth it. Yeah, but I would like to try it again. It would be good. But right now it's just your boy. We're just out here chilling. This is gonna overheat again, so we're gonna switch cameras. Get a better shot with this. Come on. All right, here we go. Ah. Can I make this work? Stay tuned. Boom! I'm so good. It's crazy. All right, you ready, folks? We're doing another runtime test. So, because we're starting and the camera is already like a little bit warm, we're fudging the numbers a little bit. But that basically means, because we're going to be cold starting on most days, these numbers will actually be lower than what we can expect in flight. And they will also be lower for another reason, which I will explain in a second. So we're going to power on. It's going to blink, right? One blink. Give it a sec to just get happy. All right, I'm gonna hit record. 1, 2, 3, and it's recording. Great. So, oh man, my stupid face camera. Oh boy, there we go. So the other thing, these numbers will be lower than we will actually see in flight. And I've experienced this a couple of times, because here's how it works. What we're doing is we're increasing the thermal mass of the camera so that when the camera overheats, it's overheating everything around it. And so any contact, anything that's in contact with the camera will change the amount of time and most likely increase it, unless the stuff outside of the camera is also heating up. So like if this camera was attached to a second camera that was also heating up, you know, that would make a difference. But what I've experienced is that once I've epoxied the thermal paste block, or sorry, once I've epoxied the thermal block, the heat sink onto it, it does, it does like one number. Let's say it does 10 minutes. It's pretty under. But I can usually get like 150% once I epoxy it into the airframe, because the epoxy also needs to heat up as part of it. The epoxy is covering a lot of the camera, so it conducts a lot of that heat into it. And, in the end, you end up with a camera that is epoxied into the rocket and can record forever. I mean, or, for plenty of time. All right. A couple of things here for the GOAT. Thanks to you, I'm pursuing my dream. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thanks, Axel. Consider reaching out to LTT or getting some PTM 7950 for Space Shot. Would probably perform better than XTM50. Is that their own brand? I actually don't know. I will look into that. The XTM50 works pretty well. I guess I haven't tried anything else yet, though. So, it'd be worth a shot. Can't see the blinking part. You can see it. It's just hard to see. It's right up here. I could turn down the exposure. That would probably help. Yeah, you can see it a little bit better now. So y'all know the drill, right? You're going to yell at me when this is done. Did you see the IFT booster, IFT5 booster catch attempt when another rocket last stream with Peter Beck? I like the idea. I know it's just a nice question, but I like the idea that I am completely in the dark on the Starship stuff. Like, as a bit, it'd be really funny to be like, holy shit, they caught it? I didn't hear about that. All right. Have you thought about using evaporative cooling, little spritz of water or water dripper? So, yeah, I had a conversation with someone else about this too for evaporative cooling. The thing is, I'm big on simplicity, and like it can't really get more simple than a block of aluminum. And if you need more time, you just add more aluminum. And when it's on the scale of like 30 grams, I see no need to introduce water around electronics. I don't doubt that you're right that it would be better, but it's like, there's always a trade-off of it's better versus it's better and it takes several hours of machining and requires good sealing, and if it leaks, it shorts a bunch of electronics. So what I would rather do is, if I need more cooling than this, which I don't think I do. I mean, I'm what do they call it? Burying the lead or something. I'm leading everyone on because I already know that this is going to perform really well. But in a world where I decide this is not good enough, I'm just going to add more aluminum. You should do live streams, reacting and commenting on important rocket launches like Starship and stuff. I'll do that on like second channels and things like that. The main channel is really more about like the BPS project instead of aerospace generally. Except for that one time I made a video about Northrop exploding a nozzle on a certification mission. Is this for the Mach 3 rocket? Yes, it is. I brought it out earlier, but let's do it again. Here. I guess I have to leave that on screen. But it's going well. New coat of paint in a day or two. We're going to do some stripes on here, some like arrows that point up. And yeah, I mean, this thing is enormous. It's very big. It's got servo connectors. Oh man, you're going to love this. Hold on. Okay, so check it out. The computer that controls the servos, right? The computer that controls the servos is above the separation plane for the drogue parachute. What that means is that in order to control the servos, like you have to break a wire, or in this case, a bunch of wires that are going to connect to the servo. So, what type of connector has a bunch of different connections that can carry signal? Ideally has redundant connections because it's in a high vibration environment, so 2 cables or 2 pins per line, can carry a bunch of current, and is not that expensive. Aerospace connectors are very expensive. And so I thought about this for a little while, and I am pleased to announce I'm connecting the two halves of my rocket with VGA, baby! It's technically HD15. I'm so excited for this. It's like the perfect amount of like break. So when we deploy drogue shoots, it's like the perfect amount of friction. You know, I can give this a couple of good tugs before it really comes loose. And because it's 15 pins, I don't remember the actual layout I did, but if you sacrifice 1 or 2 ground and power pins and share them among the servos, you get 2 pins per signal line, so there's good vibration. I mean, you know, in the event that there's high vibration in the connector, which is pretty low, you should have like redundant connections. So I'm stoked about this. We're connecting the stages of the rocket with VGA. It's not technically VGA. VGA is what, HD 9 or something? So let's see, what else? What else we got? Oh, here we go. Some more super chats. I'm not just reading the super chats, by the way. It's just I feel like I owe these people responses. Thanks for getting me interested in rocketry. I'm currently writing code for an E-reg that will run a 4.5 kilonewton hybrid. Oof, hybrids. It's a brave move to bring up hybrids around Joey B. Just kidding. Good luck. That sounds cool. Zip says, currently avionics lead for University of Toronto Aerospace team. We're struggling to find a good flight cam. Is modded GoPro the best option? Oh boy. Okay. This gets us into a really fun conversation called what does best mean? And actually, this is a good opportunity to just run through what I did at the start. So it depends, in my opinion, on your two opinions on like how good do you want the footage to be and how much are you willing to pay. And I don't really mean in money because all cameras are expensive, but how much are you willing to pay in like sanity and troubleshooting and time, especially for a college team, time. So the fastest and simplest solution that will get you pretty good footage is a RunCam 4K or one of these things. It's self-contained. It's got a battery on the inside. You hit a button. I bet it'll turn on. Actually, I bet it won't. Sometimes it drains itself over time. But it's got a button. It's got Wi-Fi. You can remote start with a phone if you have RF opaque airframe materials. So this is great. It'll do 1080 120. It might do 2.7K 120. It does 4K 30. If you have to select one, by the way, between high frame rate or high resolution, I always go high frame rate for rockets. Okay, that's one option. Another is the RunCam Split 4. This one's a smaller form factor. You know what we should do? Let's switch back to the other overhead camera. Should be not overheated yet, or not overheated anymore. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So, yeah, if this doesn't float your boat, the next option you can try is one of these. This is a Split 4. It's a tiny little control board with a separate sensor, so you can snake this outside of the vehicle. If you're really tricky, if you're like, you know how the kids say that you're goated with the sauce? If you're, you know, a geeked up rocketeer bussing it down, goated with the sauce, like if you're like a level 10, you know, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry about this. I'm 31. This is awful. Anyway, if you're really good, you can unscrew the back plate here, and you can take off the ribbon cable, and you can thread the ribbon cable through a very small hole. And that's like the goated with the sauce move. Okay, so this will do 2.7K, 60 frames per second. That's okay. It's not great. If you want 120 frames per second, you've got to go to a RunCam hybrid. This has 2 lenses on it. This lens records, this lens does live video. I don't really care about the live video. So these are pretty great. I've used these for a lot. Like the down-looking camera on all of the Scout flights have been one of these. A lot of anything that's 120 frames per second that isn't in the last year has been one of these. This is like the best trade-off of simplicity and frame rate and video quality. And it's like $80, $90, something like that. So it's expensive. You know, it's a camera, but it's not crazy. The next step up is where it starts to hurt. That's the GoPros. These are what, $300? And they are already the stripped down version of a really good GoPro. In my mind, it's worth having like one of these on a rocket if you have a person who can be responsible for the camera. Because otherwise, it's so much work to get this to work. Like, I swapped out the ribbon cable with a different ribbon cable, and I have to thermal paste a separate thing on to get it to record it all. And I've got to do 3 or 4 other things to get it to just work. But the image quality is crazy, because it's 4K 120 frames per second, which is, for a dude who does YouTube as a job, is really nice. Anyway, I hope that helps. My recommendation is don't do the GoPro unless you have someone who can be like a dedicated GoPro person. Would a storage housing made of aluminum or copper help you instead of needing a big block on that thing? Yes, it would. And a little bit of CAD would really fix that issue. Just a little bit of CAD with the bolt pattern would allow me to remove the backing completely, make my own backing, and especially make my own backing that can then be screwed into an airframe. Hey Joe, I am currently building a computer for my TVC rocket. Any advice on my TVC rocket? I might try to get an internship. Love your work. Thanks, Liam. I don't have any general advice other than test your code as much as you can on the ground. TVC is really hard, and if you can get a simulation running, whether it's you write from the ground up in Python, whether you've got MATLAB, Simulink, something like that. Simulating beforehand will help you spend less on motors. Those are my pieces of advice. I know you said for the internship people should be from the LA area, but what about interns that help with code or video editing? Can they be from other places? Not right now. Maybe down the road. I'm really looking for someone local right now. So I'm sorry to disappoint if you don't live in the LA area. Maybe best for your mental health. LA is a trash city. But I'm not looking for remote interns right now. All right. Are you worried that the heat will be a problem when you're in the less dense air? Not really. Like, I don't think there's a lot of convective cooling happening right now. Actually, yeah, that's a good prompt. I know you didn't ask this, but why don't we get the thermal camera out? Yeah, I'm not that worried because we also don't spend a lot of time in space. Even for the space shot, you're up above the atmosphere for what, 4 minutes, maybe 6 minutes at most. 6 minutes is like you're gonna come in hot enough that you'll shred your chute. But yeah, I'm not that concerned about it. So the hottest point on the camera that I can find right now is about 180 F. Yeah, about 180 Fahrenheit. Sorry, it's a little difficult to see. But yeah, I'm getting 180 at the hottest point. And you can be, if you respond in Celsius. Fine, okay. What's 180 Fahrenheit in Celsius? It's 82 degrees Celsius. I was gonna say you can be brave and look it up, but I'll be kind this one time and I'll give it to you in Celsius. All right, what model is the thermal camera? It's whatever the cheap FLIR one is. This is a FLIR 1 Pro. They make cheaper ones. After I bought it, I tweeted that I loved it, and then everyone was like, "You can just get a lot less." Oh, check on my plants. I guess you can't see that, but. Yeah, they make cheaper ones. You can get stuff on like AliExpress or whatever for way cheaper and a higher frame rate. Would you ever move to Texas? Love the videos. Thanks, Josh. I was born in Texas. Plano, baby. I have no immediate plans to move to Texas. My family's in California. Aerospace is in California. Friends of Amateur Rocketry is in California. I mean, everything is out here, and I am not going to pave the way for aerospace in Texas. Sorry. How much was your CNC mill? I got the mill from Tormach on a sponsorship deal. So they sent it to me in exchange for me doing a video on their channel. I think the base mill is about $7,000. But then once you get like enclosure, if you do the automatic tool changer, if you do chip tray, there's a couple other things. I think the stand costs money too. So it can get up there. You're from Plano, poor guy. Wait, actually, yeah. Can someone tell me, is Plano, Texas, the meth capital of the world? Because I went to Starbase like a year ago, and I was in an Uber, and I told the guy driving, I was like, "Yeah, I'm from Plano," and he goes, "Ah, the meth capital of the world." And like, first of all, bold move as an Uber driver to just out the gate say that, but I couldn't tell if he was joking. Okay, thought. If you profile the heatsink to the inside of the body tube and thermal epoxy it on, you can dump all the heat into the airframe too. Also, thank you and Zyla for rekindling my interest in rocketry. Season's Eatings. Oh my gosh! Thank you, Howling Wolvern. I'll tell her you say hello. I think I'm seeing her tomorrow night. Anyway, that is a cool idea, and carbon is fairly like thermally conductive, I think, as far as composites go. So yeah, you're right. It would probably dump a lot of energy into the airframe. How do you make sure the rocket slows down enough for shoots on the space shot? Braking burn when you're coming back down. How does recovery work with 2 stages? Yeah, space shot recovery is real tricky. I haven't really figured that out yet. To be honest with you, I haven't figured that out beyond just using a really strong chute. The other trick is you kind of don't want to deploy your chutes at apogee on the space shot. You kind of want to deploy as late as possible, like while you're on the way back into the atmosphere, because the longer your lines are dangling out in the vacuum of space, not the vacuum, but like the microgravity, the longer your lines are dangling out, the higher the chance that you'll tangle them on the way in, which is no good. Also, 18 and a half minutes, we're still cooking. This is 35 grams of aluminum. This already is plenty for the meat rocket. This is plenty. So anything on top of this 18 minutes is bonus. Ever thought about sending APRS data from the rocket with amateur radio bands? Yes, and I already do. I use a computer on the rocket called the telemetrum, and the telemetrum sends APRS packets. And FAR just got an APRS ground station, or whatever. I don't know exactly how it works, but FAR finally got their own like APRS thing, which is going to make recovery for any Altus Metrum product way better. Will you ever make a liquid rocket? Yes, I will. Not super soon, but I am going to do it. Is using airflow through the board to cool it a bad idea at supersonic speeds? What would the static charge be like? I don't think about the static that much. I just think practically that seems hard. You're also only cooling it for part of the flight. Like, you add a lot of drag using airflow to cool it, and the rocket stays in the atmosphere for 15, 20 seconds. I guess no. I mean, maybe it's more like 30 seconds. But over the course of how long the camera needs to be recording, you really don't want to rely on any type of convective cooling. I think the way to go for space shot is just like dump heat into an object. We can also, when it comes time to do space shot stuff and cameras for it, we can toss this in a vacuum chamber and thermally isolate it so that there's no convection and we get more accurate numbers. You should put a second piece of meat in the camera bay and cook it with a GoPro. I like that. Check the temps again. Great call. By vacuum chamber, do you mean your mixing bowl? It's possible. I mean, I have a separate vacuum chamber. It's just the mixing bowl is bigger. All right, I'm working on getting this. The camera's still recording. I don't know if it'll focus. The hottest that I'm seeing is about the same, about 180 F. Like maximum. Yeah, about 180 F. Oh! I don't see blinking. It did stop. Okay, so that's about 20 minutes. So 20 minutes is plenty. You know, if you imagine that you arm the cameras and then it takes another 5 minutes for the countdown to start or whatever, the cameras get armed over telemetry, and yeah, that's plenty. Then you have 15 minutes for flight. It's about a minute to apogee. I mean, generously. It's like 45 seconds to apogee, and then depending on how fast it falls, that should capture the whole flight. The other thing is that this is going to be, like, this is going to have more thermal mass than it does right now, because we're going to epoxy it into the rocket, and all of that epoxy is going to act as a heat sink too. So, all of that to say, I think this is great. 35 grams of aluminum, and you're set. You're good. And for what it's worth, so I can now reveal some of the other things. I did this on a very stupid rocket that I built called Mach 2, that I will make a video about. But I did this on Mach 2, and I used maybe a little bit more aluminum than this, and I was able to get up to like 48 minutes of runtime on the GoPro just with a little bit more aluminum and a lot of epoxy around it. So yeah, this is great. This is excellent news. So the next step that I want to take here, I'll have to let this cool off for a minute. And I almost think we should toss a block of ice under it, because there's now a lot of hot thermal mass here. Let me get some ice and a paper towel. I'll be right back. We need to cool the camera down. Disconnect the leads. Oh, that is so hot. Oh my gosh. I like actually can't touch it. I can sort of hold it in place on the ice. But all the thermal energy is now doing phase change. What's your current time frame for the space shot? I think 2026. So the timeline as it stands right now, and small plug, I do talk about this a lot on the Patreon, like what timelines are expected, and then you get to watch in real time as those timelines shift. But expected timeline for space shot is 2026. In the next few months, the Q motor is happening. I showed that earlier. I can show it again while this cools off. The Q motor case is here. The forward closure arrives tomorrow. Ugh. Hold on. Yeah. Here's the case. Come on. Yeah. So it's 8-inch diameter, 1/4-inch wall, and it's very big and very heavy. It's gonna be spin cast liner just like Simplex V2. This I really want to do by the end of the year, and I'm not convinced I can. So it's interesting because making the parts is actually not that long. I can make the forward closure and the nozzle in about a week and a half. I can make the propellant. I did all the mix scheduling stuff, and the propellant and liner happen in about 3 days. It's a full 3 days, but it's 3 days. So like the whole motor probably takes 2.5, 3 weeks to make, which means in theory it could be done by the end of December. Because Meat Rocket is basically now till beginning of December, and the problem is not how long this takes. The problem is no more motors in the garage. I want a remote mix site for, especially for like the big stuff. It's just not a good idea. Like, it's it's legal. It's just not a good idea. So the problem is finding the mix site and making that work. And I'm working very, very hard on it. And I have been for like 5 months. And the current options, initially, I was going to lease a spot at FAR and put a shipping container there and do that. Then there was an existing shipping container, and I tried to buy it from the company that owned it, and the company wanted a lot of money and also took a bunch of time to respond, so that didn't work out. Then I was like, okay, cool, I'll just buy a plot of land and do it myself. So then I talked to a bunch of realtors, and I tried to buy a plot of land, and that turned out to be way harder than I thought. And now I'm trying for something different that I don't want to talk about until it happens, because it just might not. So yeah, anyway, it's all logistics for the Q motor. And once the Q motor fires, then we just build the second stage. That's it. Like, the path is wide open. Maybe I'll regret this, but I don't expect the Q motor to fail. It's the same as Simplex V2. It's just bigger. And yeah, I don't expect it to fail. The second stage will fly next year on its own to 150,000 feet, 50 kilometers, whatever. And it might need a second flight after that. We'll see. If the second stage flight goes okay, then we space shot in 2026. Yeah. Okay, this has cooled off, and the next step is to toss some 5-minute on it. Love a little 5-minute epoxy. The ice worked really well for that. But before we do anything with the 5-minute, I need to clean the board up. So the thermal paste is pretty oily. A lot of oil on that boy. And the oil means the 5-minute isn't going to cure super well, so we have to be kind of careful with that. Ooh, and I get to show you the SD card extension. That's the other big recommendation I have, is if you're doing things with SD cards, just get a bunch of extensions. Some of them work, some of them don't. It requires some experimentation, but I use extensions, and they solve a lot of problems for me. Okay, so this SD card comes out. And then do one of these. So this thing, you plug one end into whatever you're using, right? Just a regular micro SD card. But then you have this extension thing. So if your cameras are in a really hard to reach place in the rocket, like maybe down in some avionics bay, you can run this up to the top so that when it lands, the SD card is accessible. You gotta be careful and do some testing with these, because over this length, sometimes the signal can degrade or gets weak enough that it's not, able to be read or recorded really well. So we'll have to do just a little bit of testing right now to make sure that's fine. But I've never had a problem with just one before. You can't daisy chain them, though. At least not with this. Okay. 1, 2, 3, buckle my shoe. Let's start recording. Okay. We're powered off. Here's my spudger. Make sure we record. 1, 2, 3, and we're pulling 730, 720 milliamps. Great. We're back in business, baby. So now we're recording to the SD card, which is in this thing, and it can move all around and do whatever it wants. And so this is why buying the naked GoPro isn't really worth it for me. We have done so many modifications on this one stupid camera. I have replaced the ribbon cable. I have removed the sensor backing. I've removed the casing. What else have I done? I don't know, a bunch of other things. I've added the SD card extension. All of these things work together to make this thing such a nightmare. And you really... There's not a lot you can do to fix it. Unless I could get GoPro to make me a bunch of these just like bare bones GoPros and send them to me. Like, I'll buy bulk quantity and then I'll resell them. But, all right. 5-minute epoxy time. It's the next step here. So what I want to do is lock all this stuff in place. I want to lock ribbon cables in place. We know that they work. They get 5-minute epoxies. There's a cable here for the microphone. There's a cable here for to connect the power board to. There's these guys, which I don't know what they do. This battery right here keeps the GoPro powered on, or at least keeps the timer ticking up so that it can keep track of time while it's not powered on. That's quite helpful. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the way the cookie crumbles. Let's get some 5-minute on there. I guess we'll just use this stuff. This is fine. Hello? Why do they put this in here? This is really annoying. Okay. Is there anything else we need to do beforehand? This is going to start to overheat, so let's do this. I'm going to turn this off. We're going to go to just the face camera for a minute. And we're going to let this cool off. And then I'm going to set a timer for 7 minutes, and then after 7 minutes I will do the epoxy. But I want the top-down camera for it. John, if you're still watching, here, I'll undo this. John, if you're still watching, you can call me now. My boy wants a cameo on stream. All right, let's catch up on the chat here. Oh boy, there's a bunch of things. Okay, hello from Northern Ireland. Hi Ross, thanks for the super chat. I am currently I am currently considering whether a GPS ceramic antenna on the PCB would provide enough signal strength. Same for using an SMD antenna for 433 megahertz. So I think antennas, if you don't have one of these, this is a VNA, or a vector network analyzer, and basically you plug your antenna into this little port right here, and you can analyze how good your antenna is. It takes like a little bit of a learning curve to use it, and I'm going to do a video about it. But VNAs are excellent. Yeah. Thank you, Joey. Shout out Joey Murphy. I hardly know her network analyzer. Yes, VNA is great. So that can answer the question for you of is it enough. I have found patch antennas to be pretty good for rocket stuff. My big concern is if the rocket is spinning. Technically, you're only getting intermittent coverage. But I'm gonna fly more patch antennas on the Meat Rocket, and we'll see how they do. Longtime Patreon backer of yours, pre-COVID, and Zyla's. Are you both doing a repeat of Seasons Eatings this year? Would love another collab launch video. So not this year. Zyla's got a bunch of stuff she's finishing up, and I've got a bunch of stuff I'm finishing up. But I think next year. Well, okay, I don't want to promise anything and then not deliver. But I would like to do one next year. I miss putting an L1000 in a Christmas tree, and I miss getting a bunch of friends together to do some goofy stuff. So I would like to do one, but no promises. All right. Joey Bislington just built different. Just learned there will be no season seedings this year. It's a fun project. What will you do with the replacement for your data visualization program? Good question. So I'm trying really hard to figure out what to do about Curve dying. Curve is my favorite data visualization program. And I can't talk too much about it. I'm trying to... I like want to buy it. I'm trying to buy it, but I'm not going to buy it if they're like, hey, give us $1 million. But the program needs to be alive. It's such a good resource for people. And like, if nothing else, if I can't convince them to sell it, maybe I can convince them to open source it. You know, it seems to me, and I don't really know, but it seems to me that it was built under Launcher. Launcher got scooped up by Vast. Vast probably owns the IP for Curve now, and Vast probably sees no benefit of supporting the small amateur rocketry community. And so they're probably shutting it down because like server costs or, you know, whatever. But it's a totally worthwhile thing to keep alive. And I just cannot for the life of me get anyone on the phone to talk about it. So the next best option is maybe I make my own and open source that. We'll see. All right, almost ready. Why not use mirrors? Okay, I get this question a lot, and it starts to frustrate me, except that I have to realize that other people have not thought about this before. Why not use mirrors? Why not put the camera on the inside of the rocket? Can't see myself. Put a mirror at 45 degrees and then have it look out. I'll tell you why. Because as soon as the image lines leave the lens, they're going outward like this. Like that, like a cone, right? The image spreads out from that. So if you look at it from this perspective, it spreads out. And that means your mirror has to be larger than the camera if you want to capture the full image from the camera. And the mirror still has to stick out of the rocket. So it actually makes the problem worse to use a mirror if you're going to, like, you get a better quality image to just stick the sensor outside. And so that's why no mirrors. Someone says, do it be farting? Yeah, sometimes. I don't know, man. Sometimes. Have you considered using ESP32s for data logging? No, I haven't, but it's only because I have a solution that works. And, you know, why break what's fixed? I don't know. All right, let's turn this thing back on. Let's get this show on the road, you know what I mean? All right. We are so back. So we're going to use 5 minutes, and we're just going to coat all these little sections around there to epoxy this thing in place. And that is our final step here. Is everyone ready? Are we all feeling good? Let me get a couple more wipes of the IPA here. Just clean up the surfaces. I've just had trouble with 5 minute epoxy and the thermal paste before. They really don't like each other. This is also a piece of aluminum that I alidined. This is like a little test. All right. I think I need to move this back so that the microphone is exposed. Sorry, this is a little hard to see right now, but you'll just have to trust me. I'm doing important work. It's good enough for now. Oh, let's do this. I'm glad I put this on the main channel. I was really close to just doing it on the second channel because you get this is hard to explain, but like there are a lot of people who follow this channel and it feels like the more people that follow, the more I have to be polished. But actually, when I go on YouTube, what I want to see from other people is just them doing what they like. And this is me doing what I like. So my assumption is that that's also what you folks are interested in. You just want to see someone doing something interesting. Oh, all right. Stop. Okay. Are you ready, Fortnite fans? This is going here. All of the stuff is cleaned up. And maybe we should do one of these. This is an all-timer. This is a classic engineering move. You take your hand and you put it on your workbench and you just, that's how you clean. If you're an engineer, that's how you do it. All-timer. All right, let's get this 5-minute on here. I'm like too nervous to do it. All right. Oh, nice. I love when it doesn't evenly distribute. Ugh, gross. We're just gonna get a bunch and hope that it evens out. This is more epoxy than I really need, but that's okay, because it came out stupid. Popsicle sticks. Thank you guys for tuning in to Joey B Mixes Epoxy live stream. It's a real exhilarating look at that, I guess. Hello, King. Hello, Lord Farquaad Gaming. This is great. This is riveting content right here. You know what's even more exciting than this? Doing it again 2 times for 2 other cameras. So on the Meat Rocket, my goal is 1 camera looking down, 1 camera looking out at the horizon, and 1 camera looking up. So we'll capture both deployment events. We'll capture the ascent, the descent. I mean, basically everything. That is the goal, and we'll see how well that goes. Also, I mix kind of wide because that helps prevent it from doing exotherm things. Cool. Paper towel time. I'm gonna do one of these. And we're just gonna start coating stuff. Whoops. I don't want to overdo it. I'm afraid I'm going to overdo it. Here. Get a closer up situation. It's kind of dark, but you'll be able to get over. You'll get over it. What am I saying? I'm having a stroke. Should probably not joke about that so much. All right, so we're epoxying that. We're epoxying the ribbon connector. Gonna try not to hit the mic jack too much. That's on the other side though. We're epoxying these connectors. We're just potting as much as we can. Doing that, doing this. Live streams with epoxy are great too because there's a really good opportunity that, or there's a really high chance that you mess something up pretty catastrophically. I'm gonna go over the LED too, just to protect it because the LED is a really important part of this. Okay, that's great. Now let's get some around the edges. Try to keep that aluminum block on. My laptop is taking off like a jet plane. Ooh, let me put a little bit on the center too. Just a little bit. The chat is doing something, but I will never find out what it is because I am epoxying. Will the buttons still work? They might. I'm not too pressed if they don't. If they stop working, so be it. That's pretty okay, actually, because the yellow wire that you can see there, the yellow wire is a button. So I just need button, power, and ground, and those 3 wires are all you really need. So actually, there's almost an argument that it's better if the buttons stop working, because then they can't accidentally be pressed. So I am going to do that. I'm just going to stop the buttons from working anymore. Oh, starting to cure. Yep, it's getting stringy. All right, 5-minute epoxy is about the right amount of minute. About the right minute and about the right epoxy. Okay, it's getting everywhere. Cool beans. That is good enough for me. I don't want to push it too hard. Okay, pals. That's good. It's on the sensor. It's on the... Actually, let's make sure it's not on the lens. It's kind of an important thing to look at. Yeah, there's nothing on the lens. But it's on the sensor. It's on the ribbon cable. It's on not the microphone. It covers the aluminum block. I think we're good. Woo! All right, I'm absolutely glued to the stream. Well done. Well done. Nice work. I liked that one. All right, let's see. What do we got going on here? How's everyone feeling? I just got out of the jail. This better be good. Oh boy. Welcome back. Will you meet Elon Musk? I don't know, dog. I've been past him a couple of times, but I've not like formally met him. I also like have sent enough dumb stuff to him on Twitter that I think he doesn't want to meet me. Do you consider UV cure resin? Not for this. I mean, 5 minutes about right for this. Parchment paper or wax paper will let it peel off nice and easy. That is true, and tragically, I do not have either of those right now. Could you explain why epoxy? Yeah, it needs to not move and stay in one place. And all these parts need to stay together, and that's why. That's kind of a flippant answer. The real reason is the GoPros, like the chance that I'm going to be able to service them and replace a part is pretty low if it breaks. So serviceability is not a huge concern for these. And so it protects the GoPros more than it allows for fixability to just pot it all in epoxy once I know it works. And then the other thing that I could do, though, is I could... what was I going to say? I could use... What am I trying to say? I think I'm actually having a stroke. I could use a CAD model of the bolt hole pattern and CNC a part to like connect up to this. But why would I do that when I can just epoxy it and be done? So I would do that if I could get the CAD models like made somewhere else or machined somewhere else. How many G's will it experience? About 30. About 30 G's off the pad. May end up going a little bit higher. BPS is my favorite channel. Thanks, Simon. Good to hear from you. Is the aluminum to dissipate the heat? Yes, it is. It's not so much that it dissipates the heat, it just absorbs it. Like, it's okay if it overheats. I just want that time horizon to be longer. About GPS issues on rocketry. Hold on, let me just close this. I know. I work on high altitude balloon missions. A bunch of my problems come from some cameras emitting the GPS L1 frequency. Have you considered using an SDR? I do have an SDR and I use it sometimes just to like look at what's going on RF wise. But and I have had issues with cameras that cause GPS issues. I have found a lot of my RF problems are solved by using a vector network analyzer and looking really close at my antennas and making sure they're tuned well. So you're looking for a low SWR and 50 ohm impedance if that's the thing you're looking for. And yeah, a shocking number of my antennas are just not that good. Like here, I use an RFD 900 for telemetry. And so that's 900 megahertz, but could be, any frequency. And it comes with these big long antennas. Do you think these are good or bad? It comes with these antennas, right? These ship with the device. And the spoiler alert is that these are okay, but you can get way better antennas for like $10 on DigiKey. And they will perform, it's like double the numbers of these. Like this has an okay SWR and like an okay impedance, but it's a little bit all over the map. And even though this is a big, solid looking antenna, it doesn't mean that it's good. You have to like analyze the stuff that you get. Anyway, that's my advice. This is quite the look at a GoPro. What's up, Perry? Are these methods condoned by the GoPro community? Oh, dog, I don't care. I mean, it works. I think GoPro would hate me for doing this, but my Best Buy employee told me gold-plated HDMI gets me shiny pixels. That man is trying to sell you an HDMI cable. That's what's going on there. What version GoPro? These are GoPro Hero 10 Bones. It's the same as this guy right here. That is a Went Pro. What do you think you would be now if Lumineer had worked? I don't think I'd be doing anything different had Lumineer worked. Yeah. Did you do any calculations to see the amount of heat the aluminum would absorb? Also, why not copper? No calculations. I just did it. I'm not kidding. Again, this is kind of a flippant response, so I'm sorry for it being a little short. But like, I don't know. Yeah, there are better ways to do this, but also I had aluminum and I had thermal paste, and this works, and that's it. I feel like my job in a lot of ways, or at least doing the YouTube stuff, means like, what is the fastest way to a solution? And this is the fastest way to a solution, which is aluminum's cheap. I have enough of it. It costs an extra 35. With the epoxy, it's about 40 extra grams, and it makes the GoPro work. So I would not. I don't disagree. Copper would be better. Doing phase change stuff with water, or like boiling the water with it or whatever, that would be better. Other really thermally conductive materials would be better. It's just that this works well enough, so why optimize what already works? With the space shop being so humongous, does it still need to be launched off a rail? What advantages does that? Oh, yeah, I think I'm going to launch on a rail. There's a really big rail at FAR, and if we can fly from FAR, I'll go from a rail. Why not DJI O3s? I see some run cam splits in the shot. The DJIs are okay, but you need the FPV goggles. Apparently, I don't really know this, but Zyla tried them, and she said she needed the FPV goggles to get it to record, and that sounds like a nightmare to me. I want to give my cameras power and a little bump on a single signal line and have them start recording. Let's see. Where do you actually connect the camera, or something like a Raspberry Pi? I'm assuming you have multiple cameras. I just hooked them up to power. I mean, it's an SD card in here, right? And I just hook it up to power, and then I use Ava to pull this line to ground. So I have a little, I mean, it's not even, calling it a program is generous. It's just like a couple lines of code that are like, hey, if you receive this command, bump this line, to ground, and that starts the recording. And then I also monitor the circuit now. I didn't do this before, but I now monitor the circuit for the current draw. I use a I can't remember what the circuit is called, but it's the same thing you use for like a thermocouple or a pressure transducer. It's the type of circuit where you use just like a resistor across the leg before it goes to ground to measure the current flow. And so I make sure that the GoPros are pulling 700 milliamps each, and that tells me that they're all recording. So I have like some feedback on it. BPS.space, I love you. What's the dumbest idea you've had for a rocket? Maybe blue tape rocket. Let's see. Shunt resistor. How do I apply to intern? Send me an email, joe@bps.space, or on the website, there's a contact form on one of the pages there. Just shoot me an email. You do kind of have to be in the LA area. I need an in-person intern. I'm not doing remote interns right now. I'm sorry to disappoint. Oh, what's up, Elijah? Thanks so much for your videos. You've inspired me so much over the years, and now I am starting my own aerospace business. That's awesome. Good luck. Best of luck. Liquid nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen would be cool. Do you have any plans to put a rocket with a payload, say a satellite, into orbit? So orbit is not really a thing you can do as one person. Like, I say with love, but it's one thing to like know how a rocket engine works and know how plumbing works and know how avionics work and do that. It's another thing to execute on all of that. And I just don't think you can do it as one person. You can do it as a small team, especially if you're a small team with like lots of resources. So like Orbital ATK did Pegasus with like 6 people, I think. But that's 6 people with the resources of Orbital ATK. So those are 6 people who are working stable jobs, who have access to tons of previous data. They're not developing those motors from scratch. They're just like taking existing products and cobbling them together. I think it's probably not possible for one person to do an orbital shot. Is the yellow control wiring laying in epoxy? Good check. It's not. It's just the camera. What am I looking for here? Is this going... This is the Mach 3 rocket. Yes, it is. I think this is all I have for you guys today. How's everyone's No Effort November going? I'm having a pretty good No Effort November. This is effort, but next video I think should hopefully be... I think it'll be the video about how I made the nose cone. So we'll talk a little bit about the nose tip. We'll talk a little bit about the multiple attempts that it took. Next video is going to be like phenomenally sexual too. So I need everyone to promise me that you're going to be on your best behavior in the comments section. I'm going to say this one more time. Hey, when the next video comes out, I need you to be on your best behavior, okay? I'm not kidding. It's going to sound like I'm kidding. There are a lot of condoms involved. There's a lot of massaging of tubular-shaped objects. It just... Making a nose cone is surprisingly intimate. So everyone needs to be on their best behavior. You've got to promise. Thank you, Andrew Adams, who says he's always on his best behavior. Hi, Mr. Adams. Can we see the... yeah, the uncensored version's going to be on Patreon. All right. Well, this has been lovely. Thank you all for joining. I haven't done these types of build streams in a little while. I was going to ask if you guys want more of these, but it seems like, this is a fun thing to do from time to time, especially because it's no effort November. This is all I have for you today. Thank you so much if you've joined. If you haven't joined, how are you getting this information? And I will see you probably in a few days with the video about the nose cone. Again, best behavior. And I wish I had like a nice quote to leave you with, but I don't. I'm going to go make 3 more of these cameras or 2 more of these cameras, and then I'm going to put them in a rocket, and then we're going to launch it. Until then, thanks for watching. My name is Joey B. Wait. There we go. My name is Joey B. May your skies be blue and your winds be low. Bye-bye.